You know, there's been a general from the Air Force who had responsibility for a munitions agency within the Air Force that has come out and said, impossible. Ammonium nitrate would not have done that to Oklahoma City. And here's a general grade officer. All right, you've had people like Ted Gunderson. I love Ted Gunderson, member of the FBI for 27 years, ran the L.A. field office, like running a division in the Army. He knows all kinds of stuff about investigation. I don't know if he knows a hill of beans about explosives, but Ted Gunderson, after FBI all of his life, comes out and says, that is not true. Here is what happened in Oklahoma City. Nobody listens to the general. Nobody listens to Ted Gunderson. Well, there's a young Spec 4 in the Army. This guy sent me a letter. It was the cutest letter I think I've seen. He also sent it to Mr. Free, head of the FBI. He said, I am a current serving active duty demolitions expert trained and employed by the United States Army. He said, I am enclosing all of the Army formulas from the Corps of Engineers to show you that what happened in Oklahoma City isn't like what you're thinking at all. He said, look at these computations, not taking into consideration 6 to 12 inches of concrete that they had to go through to make that crater. When you look at the crater size, he says, here are the actual Army engineer figures. It would take over 1 million pounds of explosives to do that. Have you ever heard any reference to that report? I bet you that young man is probably wondering what he is doing right now in Nova Scotia somewhere, or Iceland, or Korea. Yeah, because he really wanted to help. He used all the right formulas. In the late 70s and early 80s, there was a man named Ed Wilson. When Ollie North was in the spotlight, you read, if you looked, about Ed Wilson. If you look at my video, Nation Betrayed, you'll see Ed Wilson, a picture of him. Time magazine had Ed Wilson. He's in 40 years, by the way, in solitary confinement. And he said, if I'm in for 40 years, Ollie North ought to be in for 300 years. He was in prison for the same thing North was doing that became visible with the Contra. Only they've been doing it. The guy I work for, Eric von Marbach, this is what they did best. And Dick Secord, both of them had to resign from the service. They didn't go to jail. They just resigned. But Ed Wilson went to prison for 40 years because he was the field operative for the FBI that took special forces like me. Only they would have taken me because I would have said no, like Lon Horiuchi should have said no when it didn't make sense. But they took special forces that are experts. They took them to Libya and they trained Muslim terrorists in the most sophisticated techniques. What you saw at the New York Trade Center, and friends, what you saw at Oklahoma City. Like, I know my own signature. I know that the hand behind that didn't come out of the Big Red One with Tim McVeigh. Like the guy that drove the truck, trained by the FBI. Tim McVeigh drove a truck. I don't know if he was trained by anybody. But it is typical modus operandi to take a front man like this who shows too high a score. 3 days they throw him out of SF. And I'll be willing to bet you that somebody was right there that when he came out saying, geez, you know, I really wanted to do all that was required so that I could be a Green Beret. And somebody said, well, son, come over here. Would you like to really serve your country? Because in all the battery of tests you got, they say, whoa, this guy is a super patriot. Maybe he's the one we want. Would you really like to help your country like Lee Harvey Oswald? Gosh, can you imagine doing all Oswald did? I'll bet you if the truth ever comes out, this is exactly what you find. That McVeigh was recruited not by someone like Ollie North that can be identified, but he's recruited by someone like Ed Wilson. He's recruited like someone like Max Gomez that ran the operation in Nicaragua, which a lot of you gave money to when Singlob and Ollie North and a bunch of the rest of them come around crying, holding out their hands. You helped out the Contra, didn't you? You helped them buy guns. You helped drugs come into Mena, Arkansas. You thought you was doing right. It is typical to recruit these young people and allow him. If I was running the operation, I would have recruited McVeigh, and I would have said, hey, Mac, you always got to have somebody to watch your 6 o'clock. You pick the person. You're working for me. You pick anyone you want to help you out. Maybe, who would he pick? His good buddy, Terry Nichols. Hey, he's my Army buddy. I can trust him. And hey, is it all right if I take Mike Fortier one time on a little look around? No problem. Let him do whatever you want. You, by the test, know that you can trust him. You know that he's a super patriot. And then what happens does occur. Isn't it interesting? He hasn't chose to spoke. He isn't talking, is he? That sounds to me like not someone that comes out of the big red one. Sounds like somebody who has been pretty well schooled. God knows, and hopefully time will tell. Tim McVeigh's numbers. And it's not Tim especially, because he's gotten a lot of visibility. But I'm worried about Terry Nichols. I don't like the way that the government has treated his mom or him, according to James's brother. Terry Nichols, here's his number up here at El Reno. You got to put this number. This is his prison number. 08157. 08157 -031. That's his serial number. Then you have to put FCI, Federal Corrections Institute, FCI, P.O. Box 1500. That's P.O. Box 1500, El Reno, Oklahoma. El Reno, as you know, is 2 words. 73036. Now, if you want to talk to Tim McVeigh, then it's Tim McVeigh, M.C., then V-E-I-G-H. His number is 12076. 12076-064. 064. FCI. P.O. Box is different. P.O. Box 1000. Maybe they've got them separated or something where they've actually got 2 parts of the camp. El Reno, Oklahoma. The zip code is the same, 73036. All right, now, I would just, again, I feel an obligation to give you those so that you might know. I want to clear up something right now. Again, Tim McVeigh said that he had never, ever been to one militia meeting. He's not part of any militia. Yet the media continues to hammer on this. Schumer hammers on it. You're going to see, matter of fact, there is a law that they are trying to pass right now, 1544. That law calls for a 1995 Insurrection Act that says if there is 2 people or more who are in a paramilitary organization, they can be sent to prison for 10 years plus fined. We're going to do away with the Boy Scouts. Don't they have all kind of military gear? Don't they stand at attention? Don't they salute? Don't they have leaders? Don't they go out in the woods for weeks sometimes? I mean, right here, look at this guy. Gotta be a member of a paramilitary organization. Got his Swiss Army knife with him. Eagle Scout. The law, I pray, will not pass. But let me be very clear about this. And this is one of the things that I feel good about. In the Oregonian, which is a major newspaper for Oregon, they said Bo Gritz gave out an obscure number of a bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. that will send you an assault rifle through the mail. And they made it sound like this was my program, and I'm mailing out assault rifles through the mail. This is not mine. I want to once and for all clear up this issue on the militia. I just want to give you the law so you can see it yourself, and how the government supports what I'm going to say, and then you take action if you will. First of all, let me show you. Here's this bill 1544. I just uncovered it, so I wanted to show it to you. It's called the Domestic Insurgency Act of 1995. It says, whoever knowingly participates in a paramilitary organization shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. As used in this section, the term paramilitary organization means 2 or more individuals acting together, organized in a military or paramilitary structure. Oh, this Foxer is a piece of sewage called Nadler, N-A-D-L-E-R.